Hey everybody, all right, it is the end of September and we are back to check on our formic treatment and do our mite counts. So let's just get straight into it. Already got the smoker going. Give a couple little knocks on the front door. And the days are already getting shorter, so the bees are working pretty hard. I can smell a little bit of goldenrod, so that's good. They're bringing in goldenrod right now. It smells a little bit like dirty socks. You'll know when the bees are bringing in resources from goldenrod. And so I've got written on the lid here, so this has been about getting close to 4 weeks. So the treatment really only needs to be on for 2 weeks. We use that foil to slow down the initial spike of outgassing, so I like to leave it on for 3 weeks. We're a little bit past that, so it's a good time to check our mite counts again. We had a little over 5.5%, about 5.5% last time. And we're going to double check to make sure that our queen is doing great. Bees are up here in the top, they're calm. That looks good. That everybody is relaxed, so that's usually a good sign for queen health. Okay. And they're working on this outside frame, so they're putting nectar in all the way on the outside. That's good. They're getting heavy for winter. Matter of fact, I'm going to just check. Oh, yeah. They could use a little more. I like them. I like mine to be very heavy for winter, but that's a good weight for already being the end of September here. So, yeah, nectar, nectar. And I'm not feeding these. These are just out foraging, so that's good. They're getting a fall flow. That is an excellent, excellent sign. And here's a frame I left for them to work on a little bit of wax. They are working a little bit there. We'll manage that a little bit more and we get into October. We're going to pack them down into the right-sized winter space, but for right now, they got a fall flow, and I'm going to let them just take off. And tell you what, this frame right here is packed full of brood. Yep, all capped brood, larvae, and really all I want to make sure, I even forgot to look for the queen. I really don't care to find her. It's not what I'm doing today. I just want to make sure she's laying after the formic treatment, and she definitely is. There is very young larvae, probably 5-day-old, 6-day-old larvae. So we have a viable queen. She's laying sheets of brood. They're making fat winter bees right now. I'll pull this out and I'll show you another really packed out frame. There you go. Lots of brood. This side, there's some a lot of misses that's got nectar backfilled in and around it. So she's laying in around. There's brand new eggs right there, fresh eggs. So this frame, bring it into the shade here a little bit so you can see there's nectar in between all that capped brood. And I can, yeah, the bees are going to cover it now. Come on, ladies. We can kind of see down inside the cell there a little bit. See that young larva? That's awesome. That is exactly what we want. She is doing her job. Sorry, we'll put it back in your view. I get excited looking at it myself. I forget that you guys probably want to see it too. Okay, so that's great. Everything looks perfect here. And what I'm going to do is put this back. And I'm going to come back here just outside of that brood nest. And I'm going to take my Varroa sample. Now I need to look for the queen very carefully. because I don't want to lose her now after after she's done all this great work. And do not see her. So I've already got my burrow kit out here. Again, just 300 bees. That is plenty. Get these guys back. Oh, yeah, there's definitely a whiff of the goldenrod there. I'm going to double check for the queen and just kind of show you how easy this is. So when they're all spread out like this, that's about 300 bees, and you can see they make a single layer. So it's real easy to inspect for the queen and make sure that we haven't gotten her accidentally. Everything looks good there. Bang them into the corner, fill up a scoop, and they're into my soap water here. And so just for comparison, I'll show you, that's what's left out of what I had. So we had about 400 bees in there. And these get a stay. They get to go back into the hive. Everybody's good there. And gotta stir that up, let that get going. And now I'm going to close this back up. Okay. And then open up and check on our mite treatment. So they have got this propolized. Pretty hefty here. Yeah. And so pretty much what we have is a plywood cracker that's left and the foil that it was, and they've actually propolized it so well that they were also slowing the release. Yeah, it's dry. It's used up, so that's good. Okay, and then I'm scraping all this excess propolis off here so that they don't end up extending and trying to glue the box together or something silly. Up there on the top. Okay, and down here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames, 6.5 frames of bees, so they've got just a little bit more space there, and that's all right. That's good. Okay. All right. Get this propolis off my hive tool there. Okay. That's what I want to see. They are building up strong, and they are going to be doing just fine for winter. They're not going to need any supplemental feeding. And let's check and see about our mite drop here. This one, I put a little too much soap water. It's leaking pretty heftily. Okay. Actually, there are a bunch of mites in here. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So they have 24 mites. So they are gaining mites because we had 5.5 before, and now we're up to 8%. So they are gaining mites when they're out foraging this time of year. The mites are transferring and trying to find new hosts. So we're going to treat. We're going to have to treat, and we're going to swap treatment now because we just did formic, and we don't want to follow up with the same thing. And so I'm going to put a Viroxan treatment on these guys. So I'll pause the video and I'll go get that treatment. Okay, I'm back. You can see it's starting to get dark on me. But what I did is I went and did my mite checks on all these other hives. And so just a quick recap, if you remember, so this one had 5.5%, we went to 8% mites. These other hives had 3 to 5% mites. The one in the very back corner, maybe you'd like to see that. So 3 to 5% mites, 5.5, 13, over 13% mites in that back corner. And you can see my kit's still back there where I just checked them and then ran and grabbed my Viroxan. So what we ended up with is basically this one got 8% mites. They've gained mites. These other two went down to 2 to 3%, and the same back there. So 3% mites, so from 5.5 to 3, and from 13% mites to 2. And so the Formic treatment absolutely works. This apiary is under a lot of Varroa pressure from neighboring hives, mite bombs. I knew that was kind of the case. And so sometimes you just have to do some extra treatments. I've got over a dozen yards in different places. And so all of my areas, I had pretty low mite counts. When I went to check them around that 3 to 5% for late summer and early fall, that's pretty good. I did have one other spot that had, I had one hive 15%. So I did actually beat the record here. But again, those bees, they must be in an area where they're getting a lot of mite pressure. So, because I try to keep all my hives, managed the same way. And so really just what that shows you is that this is the unfortunate part about beekeeping. You own tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of head of livestock that you just can't fence in and keep them out of trouble. You got cows or goats or sheep, chickens even, you just fence them in. You can control what they're exposed to. And so for honeybees, that's why it takes a little bit more detailed babysitting and management. And so, but it's not difficult. We just figure out, that's why you do your mite counts, you know which ones need a little bit of extra attention, they need a little extra support, and they're going to thrive just the same. So I can say, so Viroxan, it just got released this year, and we got our first shipment in May, and I treated one of my apiaries that had some mite pressure. I treated them with Viroxan, and so when I checked them here in the late summer, they were zeros, ones. I think the max was in that yard, and there's 12 hives there. The max in that yard was 2%. And not only that, they made at least 50% more honey than most of my other yards. And so Viroxan, it definitely works. And also the mite pressure staying under control absolutely affects the health of the bees and how well they thrive. So really quickly, because it's getting dark, I'm going to go through this and add my Viroxan strips. Basically the way Viroxan, it's extended release oxalic acid. The manufacturer instructions, for every 2.5 frames of bees, you put one of these strips drooped over the frames. It looks like this on the package. So you droop kind of fold them in half, put them over top of the frames of bees. And so good instructions here. Like I said, this product definitely works. I've tested it myself this year, and the results are very positive. So I'm going to go through and do this quickly before it gets any darker. There are basically 8 frames of bees up here, and so it falls into the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. So I'm going to put 3 up here. Basically, just going to droop them, gently coax them between the bees, and kind of doing every other frame right in the brood nest. Just missed that one. It goes there. And when I went to take these off of the other apiary, the bees, this is basically a soaked cardboard. The bees had pretty much removed the strips before I got there. Okay, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. do another 3 strips. And this is the 20 dose pack, so I've got plenty. I'm going to do this whole yard, even though they're 2 and 3%. I still want to get this under control, especially going into winter with fat bees. And I can tell you that this extended release treatment is 56 days. I think that's what that's 3 complete brood cycles is what they've got it kind of calibrated for. And the bees do not seem to be bothered by it, but the mites definitely do. So this is a great extended release option. And what I'll do is typically I'm going to do an oxalic acid vaporization in the winter anyway. So this just gives me my oxalic treatment a little bit earlier. Again, these are under a lot of mite pressure. Most of your yards should not have this kind of mite pressure. I know just in this area here at the teaching apiary in the store, there are a lot of bees within just a couple of miles. And those are the ones that I know about. So that's that. I will make my note that I've treated them with the extended release. And after that, everything should be good. So have a great day. Appreciate you watching. Be blessed.